Hey y'all, welcome to the Q Spot Podcast with host Quavila Jones. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and take notes as we dive into each discussion. Stay tuned with special guest Stephanie Clay. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Q Spot Podcast. I am doing another series of breast cancer awareness, and my special guest is Miss Stephanie Clay. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And so we're going to talk about your journey, and I wanted you to share because every woman that has been diagnosed and gone through treatment has different experiences, and so you may be able to share something that can help someone else. And so I want to let everyone know that you are oh goodness, I'm trying to do the math, 12-year, 13-year survivor?
13.
13-year survivor, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's just start at the beginning, though. First, I want everybody, I want everybody to know I'm getting tongue-tied. You live in Nashville, Tennessee, and so you've lived in several other places, and so that will come up in the story
Yes.
as well. And so, you have a beautiful daughter. Oh my goodness, she is so precious.
Thank you.
And we definitely talk about what that experience is like, because most of the women that I talk to have children, and it's like we know children have a certain level of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you don't want to burden them with certain things.
Right.
So I definitely want to hear, what it was like trying to tell your child who's used to mama being, a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to tell your child your story.
Yes.
All right, so let's just go all the way back to the beginning. When you first got your diagnosis, well, right before your diagnosis, like tell us what was your life like?
Well, before my diagnosis, I was a stay-at-home mom. We had just moved to Texas, and my daughter was in the 6th grade. She was going to the 6th grade, so it was easy for me to, be at home. And with us being in a new city, I could, take her to school, pick her up.
Okay.
So that was, I guess, it was God's way of saying, let me give you this time because what you're about to go through, you're going to need it.
Okay.
So, with staying at home, not having a job, it was good for me,
Okay.
Um,
So what led you though to even have the conversation with your doctor before your diagnosis?
Well, in school, they've always taught us to do our self exams. So
Mm-hmm.
right before, I've always done like my annual exams right before my birthday every year. My annual is going to be at my birthday. So what I did was the day before my appointment, I've always done my self exams, my self checks. I did notice that my appetite had changed. This was
Okay.
in 2007. I noticed that I started craving more sugar, cakes, and it's just a different appetite. Like I didn't have a taste for food, just only sweets, ice cream, cookies, whatever. Doing my self exam that night, I felt a lump.
Okay.
And I'd never felt it before, and it felt weird. It wasn't sore, it wasn't big, just almost felt like a little rock or a little pebble.
Okay.
Um,
And where was it located?
it was in the right breast. If you look at a clock, it was like right at 1 o'clock on a clock.
So maybe over here, somewhere over. Shoot, I need to look at
Yeah,
the clock.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so you felt something that was different, and
Mm-hmm.
so then the process goes on to talking to your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you feel that your doctor listened to you and said, "Oh, well, it's just fatty tissue" or something like that?
I do, and doing the exam, she felt it as well. I didn't say anything to her because I wanted her to see if it was the same thing that I was feeling. So when she asked me, did I ever do self exams and all of that, and I, explained to her, yes, I've been doing it, since I was, a teenager. So, and she was like, well, have you felt anything differently? And I was like, no, I haven't felt anything different, but my appetite has changed. And then
Okay.
and then she did the exam again. And she was like, well, I feel something at 1 o'clock. I was like, well, now that you say that, yes, I did. I felt something last night, but I wanted to see what it was, or if you felt the same thing before I said anything. And the next thing was sending me to the medical center to get a biopsy done.
Okay. Well, let's let everybody know you were in your 30s at the time.
Yep, it was right before my 35th birthday.
And so we had been hearing, for so many years, women over 40, do this, do that. And here you are in your 30s. So you feel this, knot or this bump or whatever. And what are your thoughts?
Uh, Actually, I thought it was a cyst. You would never, I would have never thought cancer, simply because I'm 35. There's no history in my family on my mom's side or my dad's side. So, I wouldn't have, I just thought it was a cyst because I've
Wow.
had them before.
Okay. And so you go to the exam, they do the biopsy. How long did it take to get the results?
She put a rush on it. So it may have been maybe 3 days.
3 days. Oh, that
3
was.
days. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, she did. I want to say it was almost, yeah, about 3 days. Yeah.
so then now there's this waiting game. What are your thoughts then?
Um, and again, because I was a stay-at-home mom, I had, every morning I would have a little prayer time. So, I was just, it would always be, whatever it is, just give me strength to get through it. Whatever it is, whatever the next step will be, I just need strength. And I had a good, my family, of course, was a good support system. So I really wasn't worried about that at all.
So did you tell your mom or any other family member anything until you got your results?
No, I didn't tell anybody. Mm-mm.
Okay. And so, sometimes we hear, and some of the women that I've interviewed have actually told me they were out handling everyday business when they got a call from their doctor. Instead of the doctor calling them into the office, the doctor just gave them the news right over the phone. So what was it like for you, and how did you receive your information?
It was the same. I got a call from my doctor. I was actually getting my oil changed. They had just
Oh,
called me up to the desk to check out, and she called and she asked, did I have time to talk? And I was like, yes, sure. And she said, well, I was just calling to let you know we got your results back. And because I went in early and because I had, felt the lump myself and, was kind of in tune with my body and knew something was wrong. They called it it was like stage 1.
okay.
And she called it ductal carcinoma in situ.
Okay.
Yeah. Which,
There's so many names. There's so many
huh?
names I can't keep up.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, she gives you this diagnosis. Like, okay, so you're out and about. You're getting your oil changed.
Yeah.
You like have a seat, have a moment. Like, what happened?
No, I said, okay, so what's next? I did step outside. I did ask the lady if I could step outside before I finished my transactions on getting my oil changed. I asked her, could I take the call? I stepped outside and I asked the doctor, I said, okay, so what's next? Now that I have this, what's next? She did indicate that because it was ductal carcinoma in situ, that is a non-aggressive cancer. So it's in the ducts of the breast, which is, she said, the best kind to have because it's controllable.
Okay.
So she indicated that they would schedule me. Somebody would be calling to do a lumpectomy,
Okay.
and they would, after that comes back to see what my next step would be, whether it would be chemo, radiation, or whatever I needed.
Okay.
um, after the lumpectomy, they would, get back in contact with me.
Now we know that some women are faced with the options of having one or both breasts removed due to the cancer possibly coming back, or bits. Some of it maybe have spread it. There's still some residual parts of it.
Hmm.
I don't know all the language.
Yeah.
However, did you ever have to face that decision of having your breast removed?
Uh, I didn't, only because at the time I didn't, only because I was told it was non aggressive, so
Okay.
it wouldn't spread. And I had to go back in for a second procedure for them to check my lymph nodes just to make sure that it hadn't spread it there, and it hadn't. And the only thing I like, maybe after my first year had went by,
Mhm.
I thought about it, only because it's, we're human.
Yeah.
So we're always thinking, well, what if it comes back? I know they said it's not aggressive, but what if this, what if that? And that's when your faith starts to waver. So I thought about having a double mastectomy.
Oh wow. So are
Yeah.
you happy that you slowed down on your decision and then just jump right into that now that you made it to 13 years?
Yes, I am. I did have, though, in the process after I did, and I'm sure you'll probably ask the questions. I may be jumping
No,
ahead,
go ahead.
but I did 6 weeks. I didn't have to have chemo, so I did 6 weeks of radiation.
Oh wow.
So the
What was
it's
that?
hmm?
What was that like?
It was fine. I had to go every day at 9 o'clock. I had to be there at 9. It was a set time. So that the first few weeks was fine. It was like getting toward the end. I didn't realize how radiation works, so my
Mhm.
skin was burnt. I mean, it was like really bad, to where it was tender to the touch. But once the radiation was over, it was fine. My coloration came back in my skin, and I had feeling, so it wasn't bad at all after that.
So tell us why, even though you didn't have to go through chemo, and they said that the form that you had was non-aggressive, why did you still have to go through radiation? For those out there who may have those questions.
Well, when I went and had the lumpectomy done, I was told that when they put the needle in, I guess to do the biopsy, the cancer or whatever, it split. So it was still a little that was in there. And what was left in there, the radiation would kill that.
Okay.
So that's why they recommended the radiation, to just kill any other active cell or whatever they wanted to call
Okay.
it that was left in there from the biopsy.
And did you have to have any lymph nodes? I know you mentioned that they want to check the lymph nodes, but did you have to have any of those removed?
No. Mm-mm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Um, because we hear other stories about women who go through the surgical procedures having lymph nodes removed. Usually it's the left. Sometimes it's the left, and they can develop lymphedema in the
Hmm.
in that arm or that side of their body. Were you ever given that information that you may experience some other side effects or conditions after having the lumpectomy?
No, the only thing I was ever told was, if I ever go to the doctor to have my blood pressure checked, make sure they always do the opposite arm.
Okay.
And that was it. It was nothing, I guess because there was no issues, or not, nothing in the lymph nodes, that I didn't, they didn't relay that information.
Okay. All right. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit because I jumped ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So you get the diagnosis. It's 3 days, 3 days later after the first initial exam. Now you have this baby girl who's,
Hmm.
12, going on 13. And so we know kids have a deeper understanding about some things, but at the same time, they're like, What is that? So how did you break it to your baby?
I just told her it was. I didn't tell her everything because
Okay.
she was a child, and I really didn't want her to worry about anything. I did tell her that we got the diagnosis. I was going to be fine, and that there was nothing to worry about. I would have to go to the doctor each day, and I want to say she went maybe a few times. She had to sit in the lobby with me. Now that I think about it, she may have gone maybe one or two times. But that was it. Like we didn't really, I really didn't go into in depth with her on everything that
Mhm.
was going on.
And then what about your parents? How did you break it to them?
Yeah, I end up calling them at once. I finished up getting my oil change and made it home. I end up calling them, and it must have been on a Thursday or Friday that I got the call, because
Okay.
I end up going down. I was in Texas, so I drove to Arkansas. Um, just to let them know, because I know my parents, they kind of worry a little bit. I know my dad especially. So just to let them know that I was fine and I was going to be okay, and once they saw me and, saw that I was fine, it helped them process everything.
And then what about your cousins? We have to let people know we're family. So I know everybody, but you have two other cousins who are kind of, y'all were like the clique that I
Yeah.
call y'all the clique.
Yeah.
And so how did you break it to them? Did they come and see you? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, and actually it that made it easy as well because they were in Texas as well.
Okay.
So they did. They didn't come often because of course they was working, and but they did check on me. Like every day they would call and check, or every other day they would call and check. I will say I had one girlfriend that was there that we had been in friends since sixth grade. Um, and she didn't work either, so she was really my support system. Like days after we dropped the kids off at school, we would go and either have coffee or talk on the phone. And some days I would have a pity party, and she would say, you know what, I'll let you have this pity party today, but you're gonna have to go and get over this. You're gonna be okay. So she
And
was
wow. Well, okay, two questions.
okay.
How long was your radiation treatments? And then what did it feel like to really have that support system? Somebody to say, okay, come on, girl, get up, let's go.
The radiation was 6 weeks. It was every day for 6 weeks.
Okay.
Um, and I think that helps in. I think a good support system helps in your overall health.
Okay.
I really do. I think because it keeps you positive, you know. And when people say cancer, you automatically think the worst. But when you got somebody saying,
Yes.
hey, we're praying
It's
for you,
almost,
it's gonna be
yeah.
okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. My
No,
computer
that's okay.
started doing something stupid.
Oh, okay. I just said that the support system, when you have a good support system, I think that has a lot to do with your healing, with your recovery,
Okay.
um, with everything. I mean, because she, like I said, my friend, she didn't let me stay in that pity party because I could have. And I could have gone to where every time I went to the doctor for radiation, I could have been, oh, not again, not. But I didn't. I chose every morning to get up, put my makeup on, dress, and go in with a positive attitude, knowing that I was, everything was going to be fine. I was going to recover from this. I was going to have a testimony. And now I
That,
do 13 years.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right. And so during these years, have you been to support groups? Have you had a chance to network and fellowship with other ladies that are going through something similar?
I hadn't now I did like early on, of course I would do, the people that I worked with when I started working, they knew my story. And I've done the Susan G. Coleman in Arkansas and Texas, and met ladies there. Um, and I did. It was another doctor that was in Texas that she was diagnosed as well. Her and I had the same cancer, and she
Oh,
did a Habitat for Humanity bill, so I helped with that. So I've done a lot of little things, but not. I hadn't been to a support group or I hadn't talked to anybody.
all right. And so, what are some messages you would like to send to ladies, especially ladies under 40, and that's just right over 30? What messages you want to send to them?
I would just say, just know your body. If you feeling, uneasy, if you feel like your appetite has changed or your body is not what it used to be, or you feel funny, I would say go get checked. Go,
Okay.
if you feel any lumps or anything in your breast, it's not going to hurt. I will say that it's not going to be.
Okay.
It'll just feel like a little rock, you
Okay.
know but your body will tell you. Like I was in tune. I knew something was wrong because I wasn't a sweet person like that. So I knew something was wrong, or something was going on for me to just crave sugar and sweets.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you grew up in a family that did nothing but cook cakes and pies. And
Right. But I wasn't, I would do ice cream here and there, but I wasn't a real big sweet eater. I wasn't.
okay, and so that was an indicator for you. So
Yeah.
again, get to know your body, ladies. Feel your boobs. Get to know
Yep.
yourself like real well.
Yep.
If you have a partner, let them feel you because they might be some of the first ones to notice something different.
Different. Hmm.
And so, now, did the doctor ever talk to you about if you hadn't paid attention to what you felt and it went on, could it have progressed to a worse stage?
It could have, yes. It could have.
Okay.
It would have just continued in the ducts of the breast, but it would have. It would have I still would have known.
Okay. All right. So I can't thank you enough for giving me your time. Anything that we didn't cover you would like to highlight? Any shout out? I want to definitely give a shout out to your baby who's now grown. And
Yeah.
so now that she's grown and has a deeper understanding, has she been educating herself, or does she have conversations with you about her own
Uh,
body?
yeah, okay. Yes, we've had conversations, as she's gotten older. And I actually took her and had the BRCA, it's called the BRCA gene test, and she
Okay.
tested negative. So she doesn't carry the trait for cancer or anything. So we did have that done.
Okay.
Um, and I tell her now, just because you're 26, it doesn't mean that you don't have to have a mammogram. If you feel that you want a mammogram, or you feel that you know you want to d- have a double mastectomy because you just don't want to go through it, although you tested negative, then that's fine. I support her. I've always supported her in anything.
I can't believe she's 26. I feel older now.
Yes. Yes, I'm old. Yes, time has gone by.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for giving me your time and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Ladies, everyone's journey is different. You may have a better experience or different experience than someone else, but breast cancer is still breast cancer. So don't take it for granted. Don't take it lightly. Be proactive about your health, your body. Get to know your
Yes.
body. And
Yeah.
I need to get my exam scheduled. I'm over 40 and haven't had an exam yet.
Get it
So
done.
I will. I definitely will. Maybe I need to make it my birthday tradition
Yeah.
coming up. So hopefully the weather, holds off. We don't get any bad snow or anything like that. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my calendar.
Okay. Yep. Do that. And
All
I'm gonna
right.
hold you to
Okay.
it. Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the Q Spot podcast. Follow me on my social media platforms. Join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. And thank you, Miss Stephanie, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you too.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Q Spot Podcast Video Edition. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of my social media platforms and the major podcast platforms. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Mwah.